Below the Red Rock. Crimson Stone. The Lassambrian Jotun have invaded Caraman. Again. A season that saw the territory defenceless save for 2 magical fortresses raised in the northern peaks allowed the orcs to rampage across the lowlands as they saw fit, disrupting both work on the Red Depths and the fortified roads. Last season, though, there was no Imperial armies in Caraman. That is no longer the case. Isla's Dance and the Red-Winged Corsairs have come to aid the defence of the Western Territory. They stand ready to protect freeborn citizens and hard-working road builders alike. The Jotun orcs, however, have received reinforcements of their own. While the orc forces are larger, the two sides remain roughly matched in strength, thanks to the presence of a trio of magical fortifications raised in the northern mountains. The 3 enchanted castles look very similar, brooding pinnacles of white stone and black ice that loom over Brienne de Matter and the ruins of Fort Braden. Each is garrisoned by the eagle-eyed and fox-furied heralds of the Great Glacier. And each tower has a massive horn carved from the curling bones of some immense creature of the Summer Realm that sound a warning to any orcs who push into the foothills of the Caraman Mountains. Of Whispering Wind. The Imperial armies mostly rely on their own soldiery, with the exception of a handful of free warriors from the Brass Coast and the League, who fight with the Red-Winged Corsairs. But the Heron are bolstered by the warbands of Jotun champions, the Yagaran of Mornwald, those human folk who bear the rank of Jotun and battle beneath the banners of the traitorous children of the Morn. They've had their numbers bolstered by several units of fishers, still fighting under the blue and gold eel banner of the dead would-be queen. Seth of Sarcom offers them vengeance and the chance to quench their fury over the shattered dreams of the blood of Imperial soldiers. New banners. New banners are spied among the Heron ranks. The standards themselves depict a miscellany of weapons and tools, but jammed atop each is a mighty horned skull, large enough to have come from an ox, but with the curling horns of a ram. This is the newly minted warband of Yara Threreson, 1,000 young Jotun eager to prove themselves in battle against the Empire. A new generation of would-be heroes gather from among the orcs of the south, called to war. Many are children of thralls, answering the call to fight ringing in their hearts. Their leader, a lanky orc, no more than 20, in a sheepskin jacket. A former Lassambrian shepherd, now raised to the rank of Jotun by the call of his ancestors. According to those who face them, several bear gifts granted by the Summer Eternal. For the 2nd season in a row, there is no sign of the mountain banner of Glen Arran, the self-styled warlord of Caraman. Since they joined the Jotun, the orcs that once lived in the highland above Sarah Brain and Sarah Damant have rarely missed a chance to raid the freeborn here. Perhaps there is truth to the rumour that the warlord has been slain, but there is also unreliable whispers that their successor, the cunning orc warrior magician Channa Aaron, has been recognised as the Jarl of Brienne and now leads an army. Their warbands swollen by bandits and brigands ruthless enough to make the Khosra blush. If there is truth to the latter tale, it bodes ill for the future. Of Tumulus Fire. Whatever has happened with the orcs who once claimed the northern peaks as their home, right now, though, they are 4 orc armies in Caraman. The magical fortresses bar the mountains from anything save the most cursory of raids. So, just as they did following the autumn equinox, the Jotun forces forced their attention to arid plains of Gambit and Jade Range. The Corazon raid and the Eschalots and the Skadjaborn probe Imperial defences. The Heron consolidate their gains in the west, slowly grinding out resistance in Gambit. They have the sights set on Rojana, the town on the eastern borders of Gambit, that's yet to see much bloodshed over the last decade. In the past, the goal of the Lassambrian Jotun has been quite straightforward. March east, conquer as much territory as they can before they're inevitably driven back by superior forces. This season, though, there seemed to be a grim purpose underlying their strategies to employ the orcs of the Lassambrian Hills as their allies. Though the northern mountains are heavily defended in the servants of Cathacane, that doesn't stop Esra and the Erhenborn sending scouting parties into the foothills of Sarah Damant. They are repulsed before reaching the town itself, but it's clear that orcs have a particular interest in the Darmenton Cliffs, that go beyond their usual lust for plunder and conquest. Likewise, with the random raids, these are several attacks that are clearly aimed at some grander scheme. The orcs target the labourers, trying to secure the territory with the roads and Cramcrack in particular, as well as the caravans that carry precious stone from Sarah down to Tasselton. They clearly seek to repeat the success last season, harvesting the bounty of materials brought in the territory, ironically to defend the people against their raiding ways. There are numerous clashes all across the territory, but only one major engagement on the grasslands to the west of Rajoten face off against Isabel's Dance and the Redwing Corsairs in a vicious battle to try and claim the town itself. Courage of the Empire, though, wins the day, with the Lassambrian forces to cede the field and retreat. Celebrations are muted. In the course of a single day fighting, nearly 1,000 Imperial soldiers are slain, bringing the estimated death toll from the two armies to nearly 1,500 losses across the cost of the season. There is no indication that the orcs have suffered much more than half that many losses. The magical fortresses are used, but they can't directly prevent the loss of Imperial lives. Of gentle rain. Even in winter, it's rare for the grasslands of Caraman to see rain. This season pass, however, proves to be an exception. Even as Isabel's Dance and the Redwing Corsairs have their first clash with the invading armies, a gentle drizzle begins, barely letting up through the following 3 months. The rain is infused with subtle spring magic, not the powerful healings of rivers of life, but a soft touch of water intended to regrow the land's heart. It does little to quench the fierce fighting across Caraman, but it soothes some of the souls tattered by the recent losses incurred by the people of the Brass Coast. The assumption among Imperial citizens is this is an attempt to contain the blight heart of Madruga and the terrors that threaten to spill over into the Jade Range. One place where the touch of rain is particularly potent, however, is Sarah Dement. Thanks to the determination of the Northern Demiros, work on the Red Depths has been completed, despite the presence of the Lassambrians. The ruin of the Red Pinnacle, torn down during the summer solstice to block the Red Gate Pass, with the aid of the House of the Fire and the Flame, left terrible scars on the western mountains. The rain has kindled new life. As the spring equinox approaches, as the work on the Red Depths is complete, throngs of beautiful red and gold flowers erupt across the hills and mountainside of Sarah Dement. Sturdy, scrubby bushes flourish, finding anchorage and substancy in the cracked stone and earth around the new pools formed by the fresh mountain rain. The new foliage is visible to anyone in Western Caraman. To the freeborn, it's a symbol of reward and renewal. But to the Lassambrians, it's a sign that this time, their conquest of the Cinnabar Hills will be successful. Game information. Caraman. Despite the reinforcements, the presence of 2 Imperial armies and 3 magical citadels has slowed the Lassambrian Jotun advance. They have made gains in Gambit and are now 4/5 of the way towards conquering the region. The town of Rajota remains firmly in Imperial hands. Without the armies and the fortifications, there is no doubt that Orc forces would have captured Gambit and made significant headway into capturing the Jade Range. Also, without the armies, it's likely they'd have seized the mountain materials from the building projects here. As it is, there have been raids across territories, but between them the Redwing Corsairs and Isla's Dance have kept the Jotun from repeating their successes of last season. No materials have been stolen from the building projects, no labourers captured. On the other hand, for the second season in a row, no progress has been made towards completing the project either, while the Lassambrians continue to fight it extremely difficult for road builders to do their work. As part of their raiding, they've managed to steal some white granite and mithril from the hills, which has directly impacted the production of the great mines of Brain and the Durham Cliffs. The great mine has lost 6 wains of mithril, and the cliffs have lost 7 wains of white granite.